In this video, we will show you how to replace your front outer tie rod end on this Honda Accord. This is part of your front steering and suspension located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing you need to do is safely raise and support the front of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've done that, continue on to removing all 4 of your 19mm lug nuts, and then the wheel. With the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our tie rod ends. We're going to have to make our way to the jam nut located in between the inner tie rod end and the outer tie rod end. Use a 19mm to break this free by turning it clockwise. Get our wrench on there. Once you have some movement from that jam nut, we'll make our way to the outer mounting nut on the outer tie rod end. To remove the outer tie rod end nut, you'll find that you have a locking cotter pin. Go ahead and remove that, and then we'll use a 17mm to remove the nut. You can use some cutters or pliers, whatever you have, to remove this cotter pin. We'll set that aside. It's a good idea to replace that with a brand new one. We'll use our 17mm up here. Just start that back on a couple threads, and we'll give this a couple loving bonks to break it free. Continue on to turning your outer tie rod end counterclockwise to remove it. As you're turning this counterclockwise, count the amount of rotations so when you go to install the outer tie rod end, you'll put it back in the same amount of threads. 1, 2, and so on. There it is, friend. A quick inspection and we'll set this aside. A quick inspection of the inner tie rod end threads, and we'll continue with some anti-seize. Now it's time to install our outer tie rod end. When you install this, you want to make sure you turn it in the same amount of turns as it took to remove it. Get this started on here. There we are. 1, 2, and so on. Here we are. Install the outer tie rod end into the knuckle and start on the mounting nut. We'll bottom this out. With that bottomed out, we'll torque it to 33 foot-pounds. Once you have it torqued, the next thing that you need to do is pay attention to the slots on the mounting nut in comparison to the hole that goes through the stud of the outer tie rod end. We need to put in the locking cotter pin. If it's not aligned, continue tightening until the very next slot is. Slide that through there, pin it over. Make your way to your jam nut. Make sure we make this nice and tight. When tightening this, it's a good idea to hold your outer tie rod end right along the shafted area. We'll use a 17mm to hold that. There we go. The torque for the jam nut is 33 foot-pounds as well. If you can't get a torque wrench in there, just make sure it's nice and tight. Once you're sure everything's secured, we can continue on to reinstalling the wheel. Of course, if you have a hubcap, install that before installing your lug nuts. With those lug nuts started on, we'll snug them up, get the wheel back on the ground, and torque them to 80 foot-pounds. We have the wheel safely back down on the ground. Let's torque these in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay, friend, we've got our vehicle back together. At this point, it's important to make sure you take your vehicle for a road test, listen for funny noises, and get yourself safely down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.